Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm showing you a brand new Corvette. This is the Crimson Cruiser V3. Now, a lot of my Corvettes that I've built are sort of all ideas. They were just kind of me playing around, experimenting with things that you can do with the Corvette, and this build finally feels like a complete build that I can finally like main and relax and, you know, use as the actual, you know, my actual ship. The thing about this, like the general concept originally, was to have an outdoor deck, and I ended up having two, and it's just kind of the way it kind of panned out. I didn't necessarily do that intentionally, but the way I built the cockpit up here, it just kind of, as I was building, I decided to just kind of branch that way out. The structure of it is not super complicated. Most of the habitation is in this area. And then all the rest is like cowlings and things like that are flipped upside down. And I'm sure you've seen plenty of tutorials on how to build decking areas. If not, I mean, I don't know, maybe I could do something like that. It's really not super complicated, and there's plenty of YouTubers that'll show you how to do it. But I really think it's a cool concept to have these decks on the outside. It kind of reminds me of like a yacht. And then I did a lot of decorating, basically. This was about a 6-hour session, maybe 7. And I kind of did it all in one night. So I'll come right through here. Although I did add a little bit extra stuff today. This would be just like your main entrance. This is just like a directory, obviously, like you would see in a mall or something like that. Long hallway, no walls or doorways really anywhere. I really kind of hope that they revamp the way that doorways work in these Corvettes. It's kind of weird that there's doorways everywhere, but you just kind of have to block them off if you don't want them. So anyway, you walk all the way down this hallway. And I've just thrown modules in on the sides for, obviously, just for looks and stuff. Both sides are they're identical on either side. So you're going to walk this way. You're going to see storage containers all the way down. And then over here on this side, I'm going to go floor by floor if I can. It's kind of a complicated interior, and you'll find that like when you build these Corvettes, it does end up looking pretty complicated almost always if it's big. And so you get all the way down here. There's really some cool like lines of sight from here. And then on the other side, it's exactly the same. So this is another entrance you would be able to get in through. I'll come right over to the other one. Again, down here, this is all storage. They're different container boxes. I was able to fit all of the container vaults in there. And then if you come back, again, it's the same thing on this side, where you have an entrance and then a way up to the second floor. Now, the second floor we'll kind of talk about in a second, but there's like this kind of secret room back here that was a habitation model that didn't, module that didn't connect with the other ones, and I turned it into sort of a crew bunk room, like a dorm, I guess. So you come up in here, there's a bunk here, and then you would have like this kind of common area in here with a nice window here, and then you have another same room on the other side with a bunk. And I think that's kind of cool. I was also thinking about deleting a wall or a window here and putting a second bunk, because in my head, you know, you have 4 pilots in your squadron, so I was thinking maybe it would be something like that. In fact, I'm going to do it right now, just right in front of you, if it lets me. Crew berth, there it is. Okay, so yeah, I'll actually do that right now, and because I just don't necessarily need the double window, I can just do that, and that actually kind of looks cool with the 2 bunks. So then you have a window here, and then this looks into a habitation module that's, I keep saying model, that's actually the second floor on the other side. So the interior is kind of complicated, and you kind of do get lost, but now that I've been around, you know, playing around with it for a while, I do understand pretty much how to get everywhere. It's complicated sometimes because I just tried to put a lot of stairways. So we'll go up to the second floor, and that's where we just were. And if we turn this way, this kind of just wraps all the way around. But the really cool thing about the interior of this is that you have this open room, and I decided to make it a bar area. And the way I did this was I just built the modules around it. So I have this one, you know, up above I have a pair of them, I think maybe 3 of them that go across. And then I just built basically a gap inside of the ship. And a lot of people do this sometimes for like large rooms. I've seen guides on how to do large rooms and things like that. And I closed it off so that it, you know, it was actually like a bar. So it's actually small. It's a darker room. It's not really, you know, it's not open. I could have taken the top off of it, you know, I could have taken one of these modules away and had it be open, but I don't really like that. I like the idea of it. Now the thing is, the thing about it is you have to get into it because you can't add doorways to your Corvette, which I really would like them to be able to do. You kind of have to just work around it and build stairways that get you into these rooms, and that is a shame. You could also do something that I've done over here, which I'll show you in a moment, using the hatches, but sometimes I just don't like that, and I kind of just wish you could do a doorway. So at any rate, there's a staircase that goes down and back up, and so here's that bar area. It's somewhat decorated. I used flat panels on the back here to just create a wall, a nice wall that's, you know, a single color. And then it's a little bit wonky sometimes placing some of these things. If you're gonna put a rug down, which, I mean, you can see that it's phasing through. If you are gonna do that, I think it looks nice, obviously, because the top of these habitation modules doesn't look great, and it's not really smooth to walk around on, but at least these kind of make it look nicer. If you're gonna put things down on top of it, set them down first and then set the carpet down, because if you try to set things down, like say I try to put a table down here, I can do it, but it's gonna be floating. And the only really way I've found that, you know, avoids that is to set it down first, right on the floor, then put your rug or carpet or whatever underneath it. So then we're gonna go up, and again, this just wraps all the way around. And the reason I really didn't do anything with this part, but the reason I really wanted it to just all be windows is because I wanted the bar area to be able to see outside, which is why I put windows here and also here. It's kind of just a double window so that it's kind of, you can see out from everywhere, and I really like the looks of that. So then what we'll do is come around here, avoid these kind of pitfalls, and then we'll come out here. Now this is what you can do with to make doorways. You just use the Titan class bay, and it will just act as a, now the thing about that is it does act like a doorway, but it's gonna try and face through the bottom. So what you need to do is put a part underneath, like this ducting joint, that's not actually a habitable room, just something that'll take the place of it, so that you can come through the doorway and that this platform that comes down doesn't block you out of the way. I don't know if I explained that right. That's kind of complicated and in-depth, but you will you'll figure it out when you start trying to play with it. Or you might run into an issue, and that's the problem. Sometimes when you run into issues on these Corvettes, it's hard to go back because when you start decorating, you're going to end up over the limit. so it's hard to make small adjustments. So I always say when you're building the Corvette, build the entire structure first the way you want it, because if you don't do that and you start decorating things, it's going to be a real headache, because you're going to have to delete all your decorations to get under the part limit. Certain things do and don't count towards the part limit, so you really just want to build it all, your structure, first. And the reason I say that, I'll show you later. There's actually a piece I wanted to delete, but I just can't now. So, and it's really not that big of a deal, but it just, you know, it sucks that you can't do, you know, small edits like that after. And that's all because of the part limit thing. I wish they'd just kind of increase it. So anyway, here's the first deck. It's pretty big, honestly. I've covered it again with these carpets, these rugs. And I think it looks nice. It makes it look nice from outer space too. It gives it this like red and gold sort of royal feeling. I also put this like square of couches. I decorated underneath here, put some things down, some flags. Flag there as well. I've used a sign. I used a lot of these signs right here as the border, sort of a guardrail, all the way around. And what that does is it acts twofold. Obviously, it acts like your guardrail. You could use these barricades that I've also used, but I think these look a lot nicer just because they have the lights on them, so it looks really cool from far away. And it, you know, it lights things up a lot better anyway. It would be probably much darker on this thing if I didn't have those. And then you got a table, safe point, obviously. We've got bubble vats just for decoration. You've got this aquarium here. I have this kind of figurehead gold statue out in front, which is kind of cool. And then down here, so what happened was, to build the deck, I had to build cowlings off of the habitation module that sticks way out. Okay, so you build a module that goes all the way out here, and then you build off of it. Now what you do is kind of you flip the cowlings over, and I don't think I can show you any of that because I'm not in the build, in the space station or anything. But you can watch guides on how to build decks. Maybe I'll make one eventually. But the bottom line here was that I had to build these habitation modules, and it really, it's not connected because, again, I had to use this to kind of break it up. So now you have habitation underneath all of this. So I said, all right, well, I need to make a purpose for that. So I decided to turn it into like a meeting room, sort of war room, and I made tables and chairs, and then there's just this long desk, which is just two desks kind of pushed together. A couple of screens, some chairs, and then you have like this topographical map, which all I did was take the regular map that you can place down and turn it sideways. And then you have a mission radar here. So it's kind of a cool little hidden away sort of war room meeting area. And that's the only way you can access it. You can't get to it from the main building. So we'll go back into the main building. And obviously we've shown you the bar, we've shown you the dorms, and I guess what we'll do is we'll go upstairs then. So this is the third floor. And similar to like a lot of the other builds I made, I wanted it to have an overlook on the deck, which I had on the most recent video I put out. And then I also wanted it to like have sleeping areas, the general design of the Venator type of ship that I built, which was the one that kind of looks like the Star Destroyer from Star Wars. The way I built the cockpit cabin is very similar. This, again, this is all, you know, it's symmetrical on either side. I kind of squeezed these little windows in here as well. It's kind of cool to be able to like peek through. And it's not like you have a ton of visibility there, obviously, but the windows, like, it kind of just fit perfectly, and you can kind of peek through, which is really cool. I could have made full windows, but it just like, it glitches through and looks kind of buggy. This actually made a lot of sense to me. So these right here go down into that bar area, which is kind of an interesting concept. I never really have seen anybody use these this way. These kind of Thunderbird, whatever you call them. I'll see if I can get the landing bay. Yeah, it's an interesting way to use that. I haven't seen anybody use those on an interior like that before. And then you go up the stairs. This is going to be all the way to the cockpit area. And this is the same concept right here. This cockpit tower is the same concept as, like I said, the Star Wars Star Destroyer that I have shown you on this channel somewhere. I did not design that ship. I just kind of stole the idea and built it just as a temporary practice thing. So I decorated a little bit of this nutrient processor area. And I got a little hanging light here and table, some dishware, just making it look like lived in. Another save point up here at the top, and then you have a little living area here as well. And this looks out over the second deck, the top deck, which is really nice. And when you're in the cockpit, you also look out over the second deck too. And it actually looks not bad from the cockpit itself. I'll also show you real quick how it looks in third person, although I usually fly in first person. So that's the general appearance there. I think it's cool that it, you know, this cockpit is so open and it really gives you a lot of visibility. And I think that's really cool because I can see the whole deck while I'm flying. It's just really interesting the things you can do with these Corvettes. So we'll go out and we'll go check out that second deck, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you maybe just some details on the back and stuff like that, but I do want to just show you the upper deck first. So it's not covered in the rugs and things like that like the bottom one is, but I think it still looks pretty cool. You got just a lot of random decoration. I'm a big fan of the symmetry, so I put things on both sides. Then you can kind of walk this way, kind of squeeze your way through this sort of table concept. And the reason I did that is because these Thunderbird landing bays, they have a bug to them where you'll actually fall through the top of them for some reason. And I'm pretty sure it does that whether it's open or closed. So I actually blocked that off so that instead of falling through the floor, you just have to walk around a table. It's just a workaround, really, until they patch that, or maybe they won't. Who knows? I did it on both sides. But I just put these little things here so you can grab whatever comes out of them. And then a little chair and seating area. I put these big lights up. They look kind of cool from the, you know, overall view. Kind of adds to the profile of it. And then these just kind of barricade. They're just kind of blocking some of like the core things. This would be like a cargo unit, you know, shield generators and things like that. I threw some of those cyclotron lathes down there as well that look pretty cool. So it's kind of like a you know, maintenance area. And I would say this is definitely a spot you don't want to get shot, because that would probably be an issue for the ship itself. And again, it's just the same thing on the other side. And the one thing I mentioned earlier, I really want to get rid of these engines, because I already have engines down below, and I also have some thrusters on the side, so I don't need this extra thruster. And it would be really nice if I could take it out and just add another set of these windows and have that wrap all the way around the room. But it just looks like that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But whatever, it's not a big deal. Just an idea I had while I was decorating things. So I put like a terrarium here. And again, I put this sign, just kind of enlarged it. And it's kind of cool. You can look down over the other deck. And I'm sure eventually I'll add more things to this. You know, everything I build really is a work in progress. So there's my freighter over there, kind of floating around in space. And just the skyboxes are awesome. Put a sign up there. I like how it's kind of like a bird, kind of has wings. Again, that cockpit concept, like the whole tower concept is I've used it before. Couches, things like that. So really, other than that, there's not much more to show you. This will come down. I guess I'm in space now, even though I've been in space the whole time. And yeah, just like your basic stuff, I've shown you Corvettes that I've built that have the same concept. And you know, I'm sure if you've seen my other videos, you're seeing a lot of things that are very similar. And again, it's because I feel like every time I build one of these, it just kind of works its way up until I build one that I really like. And I feel like I've gotten there. So I hope this gives you guys some ideas. And if you want any kind of guides or anything, I'm sure you can find them. But if you'd like me to do something like that, I'm sure I could find the time to do it. Yeah, so I'm just glad that I was finally able to do this, because it took me a long time before I was able to do a Corvette build, like a proper Corvette build. So there it is. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, as always. I'll see you next time.